Today, for your enjoyment, I'm going to do a little video on replacing the door, the entire door actually, of an 06, actually nope, an 07 to 11 or 12 Nissan Altima. I've got my 08 Altima here, which in the past I backed into the door, messed it all up. I tried to follow some YouTube videos and fix it with some Bondo and paint and all that, but never really did a good job. So what's the solution? Replace the entire door. Now, if you can find one that's your exact color, and of course, if it's all stock OEM colors, they're going to be color matched. So your body shop wouldn't do this, but I was able to pick up one for a really reasonable price. And you can see I've already removed the panel of this door. Here's the interior panel right here. But I'll go over how to do that. There's at least one good video out there already on this. So at the time I'm doing this, you can find a rear door. The price I found at junkyards was about $145, which is not bad considering what it would cost to have the body shop. Actually, they would buy a new door and then repaint, do everything. I was able to find a door for even less than that by someone who had just a door lying around. So you may be able to have a good deal there. The one problem, and what I'm doing here, is I've got a different interior. The outside door is the same, but the interior panel is different. So since I've removed this panel, I'll go through the steps of this one. I figured that I would practice first on this one I don't want, just to make sure I could do it, and the instructions were okay that I saw. But now we'll try it on this one. We're going to take this door panel off and make things a lot easier, and then we'll get to the actual door itself. But first we need to start right here. You'll need to pry off this armrest. And this is where panel removal tools really come in very handy. Recommend a set of these. They come in about 4 like there. And there are some plastic ones. There's also a good metal one to use. The plastic ones are nice because they aren't going to damage your finish. Cloth and plastic and all that. In this case, this is leather. But what you want to do is reach in here and just kind of pull this up. It's got clips that hold it in. You're just going to find a way to kind of get in there. It's easy to get it in, but then you have to get some leverage and kind of pull that up a bit. In this case, this one isn't quite wanting to come out. Now, the plastic ones are going to sort of flex and give a little bit. Yeah, I'm trying to get this in here. All right. And you're going to hear sounds like that, but not to worry too much. Whoa! And all of a sudden it's off. So you can see, there we go, these little plastic clips here. That came out a little bit suddenly, but it did come out. So you got to take this off. We'll toss that for the moment, because there are 2 bolts here you have to take out. Or I guess they're screws. So you got a 10 millimeter right here, and one right here. But there's also one under here, and this is a bit of a pain. So under your handle, there's this little plastic cover, and you got to pop that out as well. I tried it with this. It takes a bit of force, so we'll see if I can get it out there. What I suggest is you open up your handle here, and you see there's a bit of a gap right in there. Just kind of stick it right in there and pop it. You can kind of pull it out. It'll take some force, but that's kind of how these things work. Now, as my experiments anyway, with the previous one, the plastic ones didn't work because the plastic is going to kind of bend a bit too much. So this is a panel removal tool. It's also really handy. It's good for popping out clips, getting under little pop-off tops for that. But because it's metal, it's not going to bend, and it'll certainly push the plastic out before the metal gives. So same thing, I'm going to stick that in there. It takes an uncomfortable amount of force, but he's going to pop that out, and I guarantee you this will do it. A flathead screwdriver would probably also do it as well. and there it just kind of pops right out. Now usually I have to put it in right here, and it actually pushes and locks the door there, but really you just kind of pop it out, and it does take a bit of force, but it'll come right out there. And here's my piece that fell on the ground. See these little clips that go in. That's all it is there. And there is your third little 10 millimeter bolt. This is a shorter one, and it doesn't have a Phillips screw indentation on it, whereas the others do right down there. So these two are going to be the same. 1, 2, take out those two there, and then take out that one, and then we're on to the next step. Okay, with the 3 bolts out, you can start to pry the panel loose from around the door. You can start here. You're going to work all the way down and underneath it and around. So before I do that, let me show you what is actually there holding the panel on. Right over here, these little clips here. So they kind of slide into the door panel. There's like a little U-shaped I don't know, opening or sleeve they go into, and they slide in there, and they just kind of pop here into the holes in the sheet metal. And so these are what hold that panel on. One here, 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 and they go all the way around. So you want to pry these loose as carefully as you can. Here's one that broke. Again, this is my replacement door panel, or my replacement door. Here's one that broke, and these types of things commonly break. So it's probably still usable because there's still this half right here. But if any break, I've got some I can pull off, this replacement door panel and use. But that's the idea here is so this is what's going to be holding them on. And this is where they go. So there's like a little, I guess you might call a socket. They're going to slip right in there. And so you're going to want to kind of pop them out. They can't really slip out of here. So more than likely, they're going to be popping out of the metal. But just kind of take your time, go around and do it easily. You can try with this. This is a great tool for it. Kind of your larger panel tools here. Again, the plastic will be great because it won't hurt the metal here. If it does, I guess it's not that big a deal. It's on the inside. Or the metal one that I showed you, which won't have any give at all. But try which ones you like. So what I'll do here, so I'm going to come around here. I'll just kind of start at the top, slip that through, there we go, and just kind of start to see if I can pull this out. You might even be able to look through and see one of the clips. I think there's one right around here. And so if I pull right by it, that might be able to get it. Again, you can use a large flat blade screwdriver. So I started trying with this one here because, again, the plastic ones are nice, but you can see there's enough force to where the plastic just kind of wants to give. So starting off, it might be a good idea to try the metal one here. All right, so here's my metal panel tool, and this is exactly what this is made for. There I can see that clip right in there. So I could actually slip this, there's little 2 prongs in there around it maybe, and then pop it out. Yep, I just popped it out from its little hole or socket in the door. I'm going to come around here. I found one. Aha, there we go. Do the same. So just kind of keep working your way around, and after you get these first 2 or 3 done here, it actually gets pretty easy. At some point, when you've got maybe half or almost half of them done, you can almost just sort of grab it with your hands and kind of pry it off. But again, that's what these tools are made for. And see how you can stick this in there and kind of just go right around that, that little retaining clip. So starting it is the hardest part, but at about here, you can just kind of grab it and pull. I try to do it firmly and continually, but not really strong jerks, just so I'm trying to protect them and break as few as possible. But see, I can put my hand under here now. There we go, and just move along and start popping them out. And there we go. So what you'll see at this point is it's loose. And the only thing that's keeping it on is it's hanging on by the top. And you can just slide it off. And now we have the next issues that are need to take care of, that are holding the panel to the door. And these are the connections. One's your electrical connection. So right here, you can see that this is for your power window switch right here. And so that's what it looks like. You're just going to unplug that. And these are always a little harder than I think they should be. And here's what you have to do. They're easy to plug in, but for me, hard to unplug. They have this little button here, this little piece that's going to go in and snap tightly. And so what you need to do is you need to kind of press down here on that. See that right there? That little button in the middle, sort of. You press down on that, and you can pull it out. Now maybe I don't have enough grip strength or whatever, but I've never really been able to do that, so often I get a screwdriver and press it on there until it kind of pops out. That's what you need to do, press. And then the next thing here is, of course, you have your actual handle, your door handle and lock. And this will be held onto the inner door panel with 3 Phillips screws, 1, 2, and 3. Now this one is gray from my replacement one, and mine's kind of a brownish tan, so I don't really want to use this one here. I want to get the same one I'm using in my current inner door panel, and so I need to take a look at this right here. So this is what it looks like. I'm thinking I can just pop these out, and so again I'll experiment with that here. If I can just pop these out like this, then I can put those cables, and these of course are the cables for your sort of manual lock and your door handle there. I'm just going to slip those back in there. So that's the idea to take care of here. Okay, so the door the panel kind of slid off from the top of the door here, but there we go. There's that connector for the power windows, and there's that button I mentioned right there. So if I could press down hard enough, I could slide it out, and I'm trying to. But I just can't get it. I don't know why that is. So again, I'm going to take a screwdriver and just depress that down there enough, and then it should slide right out. Now I took a reference photo, and I can see the way a lot of cable systems work. I'm just going to slide the end of this cable out of here, and that one out of there. And that way I can just remove the whole door panel, but keep in my, my original handle with the same color plastic here. You see there was one of those screws I mentioned that I took off from the earlier one, but I'm going to try to avoid that here because I just have to put it back on anyway. So these are the parts I'm just going to see if I can slip out. Hopefully you can see how those go in there. Hopefully I can slip them out. And that was really easy. The first thing you do is you see how there's this little plastic part here, and that goes down to like a little socket. Just pop this out of the plastic, and then these will just sort of come right out. And the nice thing is they're 2 different shapes. You can see that. That way you don't confuse them when they go back in. So now I've got my original door panel all out. Next thing to do is to take off the door. So there are a few things here to keep in mind. You got 2 hinges. So here's a hinge right there, and there's a bottom hinge. And you've got this item here, which is, I guess, helps to close it. So you've got a bolt right there that attaches to it. And then, of course, you've got the electrical connection, which comes in here. And so the thing to do here is to just take all these off. As you can see, you've got bolts and all that holding those on. I'll take a better look there. Now the easier thing would be to, what would the easier thing be? I guess maybe to take this off from the door. Could also go out here and look inside the door frame, and you can see that's where they they go on there. Now this one's interesting in that it looks like it's got some really interesting looking almost like giant flathead screwdriver heads. So what I need to do is I need to just take a look at the door that I have. Here's my replacement door. It's missing this hinge altogether. Maybe that's because it's just too hard to take off the door frame. So I can, put those on right there. This hinge is on. So basically the question is, what do I want to keep and what do I want to take off? But I know then I'll have to remove the nuts that are on these, and I'll keep that top hinge just as it is. So a better thing might be to sort of remove it from the door. We'll see how that goes. The first thing I might do is get rid of this little guy. I'm going to unbolt this one because this is a much kind of a more delicate piece of construction here. I don't want to bend this or mess this up if the door shifts any while I'm moving it or loosening it. So I'm going to undo this one first. So this is one is what you're going to want to make sure that is on your replacement door, because that's part of all this stuff here. And if this was missing, I'm not sure what you would do. But it is a 10 millimeter bolt. So I'm just going to get that on there. There we go. And just start removing that. That's how I'm going to start this right here. Now these bolts here are 12 millimeter, and you might need a deep socket for that. Go right on there. So what I've done is I've kind of gently closed the door, but not all the way until it latches. And that way these are facing forward, and I can have a really easy access just to get those right there. And then same for the bottom. So actually what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to keep these original hinges attached to my frame. That sounds like a good idea. Keep those there and then just reconnect right here with the new door. But keep all my frame or my hinge hardware mounted to the frame here. I'm just going to keep all that right there as it is. Which means I'll need to remove this one hinge that's the bottom hinge on my replacement door that's just hanging out there. So I think I'll go ahead and do that now. And while I'm here, I think I'll go ahead and remove this connection. So here's this little, nice rubber gasket that pops in there. And so I'm just going to pull this wiring out here. And there we go. So I'm just going to disconnect the wiring right here. Again, there's a little tab to push and disconnect that so that can easily, fit in with the wiring of the door. I'll just take care of this, right now. Well, that was a bit of a surprise. So with everything undone, and I'm glad I took care of this one, undid that first, and even the electrical cable, these would just not come out. Really stuck. So I got a hammer and chisel, and I tapped at that a little bit right in there. Give that a little tap right in there, and then that just freed up, and the whole thing just fell off. So anyway, right here into the ground. Luckily, this is the door I don't really want, but anyway, there's some kind of adhesive, I guess, right there on those edges of the hinges. So they're really kind of stuck on there. But now I've got my two hinges all freed up, and now I'm trying to get the hinge off the other door. And that's what it takes. So get a hammer and chisel, just put that chisel right in there, and a few taps, and then you can pull this off. See, there's some kind of gunk there. So I guess I don't know if it's adhesive or not, but anyway. And then you slide the door on. I say just slide it on, but not that easy. I would definitely recommend, it's sort of a two-person job, at least for this part. I did it with just me, but I've slid it on, I've started the bolts here, and now I'm just going to see if I can get them in all the way, get it all nice and tight to where it needs to be. But yeah, that part should be easy from here on out, I hope. Now it's back on. For the bolts, I decided I decided not to tighten them, each one as far as I could go, but each one little by little, kind of like when you're putting a wheel back on. So they all kind of tighten up uniformly instead of one being too tight. This way, I think the alignment would work better. So anyway, I've got those on, and I also bolted this little guy back in right here. Took a bit of doing to pull this out. There's actually a good bit of force, probably some kind of, I don't know, piston or something in there that helps close the door. But it's easier if you close the door, kind of get inside the car, close the door as much as you can, pull this out and get it started. Once it's in the threads, you can put it in and that goes in. So the brand new door is back on. And since I'm here, I'll go ahead and make this electrical connection and then feed the wiring back in there. And then it's just reattaching the inner panel. So there are the cables to the door handle, and then now, of course, the easiest thing is just to plug in the wiring for the window. There we go, and start hanging the door panel back on. Actually, I did something kind of dumb. The retaining clips need to be in the door panel, not in the door, because they need to be stuck here like this, so they just pop into the holes straight in. It's almost impossible to have them in the holes and then sort of get it in this little catch it's supposed to get in there. So again, I had to remove them all from my door panel, remove them all from the door itself, put them back in the door panel. There we go. Now I can just hang the door on the top where it goes, and then just pop them back into place. And this is why this kind of tool is so nice. So I can just go right in here and just pop this out. If I get this in the right spot. There we go. Okay, so I was gonna see that's how these work. Pop that out. And popping them in there is pretty simple. Just catch it on here and they pop straight in. And now that everything's hooked up, kind of nice to try a little test before I finish it up here. So it closes, right? And then of course the important test here. Power window from the master controls and power window here. So looking good. Just got to put that last few pieces in. And of course that's going to start with the bolts here. So here's the little bolt, and that'll go right in there. And the other two longer 10mm bolts will go right in there. Then we pop the little covers on, and then there you go. Okay, so those 3 bolts are in. Remember, don't put them in too tightly. They're mainly kind of just going through, plastic and stuff, so they're not really doing holding a whole lot of support or weight. And let's pop this thing back in. Taking a look at it here, looks like I should start with this end and then kind of sort of rotate it in there. So move the handle out of the way, get that in there, and then just press it in. Press it in. Alright, good as new. And now for the armrest, you can see we've got these 2 little tabs. They're just going to slide in there, and then we've got this bigger sort of locking or retaining clip, and that's going to go there. And then there's that main one, and these little ones right here in front are going to go along here. So 2 little clips right here are going to go in there. So I'm hoping with this one we can just kind of sort of pop it in place and let it stick. Click, 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 click. There we go. That's it. That's done. Brand new door. Now, how does it look? A lot better than what I had before. Little dirty, a little dusty, but I can clean that off. Maybe a little bit of rubbing compound, and seems like it'll match. Now, just so you know, you've heard this before, I'm sure, from body shop experts when they are going to repair your car. They say, well, you know, we're going to paint your door, but then we've got to blend it into this door. We've got to blend it into your, quarter panel front or rear, right? That's what they'll say. So here's the door that's the same color, of course, right? Nissan's white QX4, I think. Anyway, kind of rub this a bit here. Is there a little bit of difference? Yeah, there is. But again, needs a good washing. Maybe some rubbing compound all over here. And I don't know, maybe drive around for a few months. I don't think anyone's going to know. But anyway, the cost to me for this was $80. Now I realize that's not that usual, but I did find someone that was selling this door for $80. They were wanting $100, and I said, would 80 do fine? And they said, yeah, man, we'll take it to 80, the Jamaican guys. So anyway, certainly worth it for doing this. This would be well over $500 if you took it to any kind of body shop, and they would actually just do the same thing, buy a new door or a used door like this, change out the panel, and then repaint it. I guess at some point I could repaint it in the future, but again, for my $80 investment, I'm quite pleased with this. I hope this helps, and if you're ever in a similar situation, try something like this. It's actually not too hard. Of course, now I've got to get my matching chrome items there.